welcome back to Jenny Moonbloom. On today's video, we are going to be focusing on the Monstera Dubia. So pretty, right? So this is a pretty awesome plant. It is a shingling plant. So that's another word for a climbing plant. But like most monsteras in their juvenile stage, they don't have their fenestrations, their holes and splits. As it gets older and the leaves get bigger, they're gonna have those really cool markings. So anyways, I have it displayed here on this temporary display. So I used to crawl up a wooden plank. It was still only in moss, but I noticed a little bit of like mold on the wood, so I decided to change it out, get rid of the wood, and put it on this temporary little tray here with moss until I got a new board. Now I'm going to give it an upgrade. We're going to put it in a really cool pot, a fresh piece of board, a new plank, and I'm just going to give it an upgrade. First step I'm going to do is kind of separate it carefully, separate it from the moss. I did receive this as a cutting. It took a while, but I am starting to see a lot of growth now. There's lots of root development, and I'm starting to see like a growth point up top. So apparently this was a bottom cutting. I've just been keeping it in a well-lit area. It's been in a room that has an east-facing window, a little bit of help with grow light, and it's been sitting in a greenhouse. I think my greenhouse wasn't getting proper circulation, and that's what caused the mold to start on the wood. So we got a fan up and running in there now, so we're all good. Let's carefully separate. Try to do as least damage as possible, but roots are looking good. Roots are looking great. Actually grown a lot more than I thought. So, it's doing well, but I think if we maybe transfer it to soil and get it propped up properly, we will see more successful growth here. This is going to be my new setup for my Monstera Dubia. So I have to get a little creative here because the piece of wood that I selected was a little too large. It's definitely not going to fit in a smaller pot. So we're going to kind of do like this, set it in a larger pot and have we're cutting it in a proper size pot so we avoid root rot and all that terrible stuff. Just to keep in mind, the rule is when you move your cuttings or any plants, whenever you repot them, you don't want to use a pot that's too large for your roots because it may take your smaller roots too long to absorb all the moisture from the soil, and that can lead to root rot. So that's what we want to avoid. I may use this, I may use even a smaller pot. We'll see. Okay, we're gonna get through this, and we're just gonna go with it, go with the flow. So I believe this is like an 8-inch pot, and like I said, it's kind of on the larger side. So I'm gonna use some decorative rocks from the dollar store, and I'm going to try to make a layer on the bottom of our pot, high enough to hold our small pot and our plank in place. So I may need more rocks to kind of stabilize where we want our pot to sit. Now I'm gonna kind of add rocks around to kind of hold our pot into place, to hold our plank board into place. with this, just make sure, you know, it's very important that your board is stable. Well, I'm trying to make sure this board is pretty stable, so when I do attach it to the plant, it doesn't topple out of the pot, and then that would be like a big, huge disaster. Making sure everything is good here. Next, I'm going to fill up our little pot a quarter. Okay, so this is what it should kind of look like in the pot. There's only rocks in the large pot. So we're gonna fill up our pot about a third of the way up. So this is a house potting mixture that I like to use. It's a rough mixture of 50% high quality house potting mix, 30% cactus succulent mix, 10% perlite, and about 5% horticultural charcoal, and 5% orchid bark. So I'm just gonna gently place our plant kind of where we want it to be, and temporarily tie it on gently with some rope twine. Like so. Fill the pot up with more soil. Since it is a larger pot, I'm not going to fill it all the way up. I need something larger to scoop it with. But like I said, since this is a taller 4-inch pot, I'm not going to fill it up all the way, because I don't want there to be too much soil for our smaller roots to handle. But we definitely need to make sure there's enough for our roots to grow into. So I think that's a great place to stop there. I'm gonna leave a little lip. A little bit of a higher lip will help with the humidity as well, which this plant loves. And now I'm going to use a couple more strands of twine to tie our plant down closer to our plank. We want kind of the nodes to be in touch with the wood, because they'll grow into the wood and kind of crawl up it like it would on a tree. So with my experience with this plant so far, they have pretty thin and delicate leaves. So they are pretty sensitive to that bright, strong sunlight, even under grow lights. So they are a delicate monstera. Oh no! I'm wondering if I should have just done a smaller pot. So once I get this secured, I need to give our plant a nice drink of water. Gently enough so there's like contact between the nodes and the roots and the wood, but not too tight to where your plant can't grow and kind of be free. As for my research and how delicate these leaves are, they do burn easily, and from what I've read from a couple sources, they say it's not good for your leaf to cast too much of a shadow. So maybe that's like, you know, so because it's, I don't know, less likely to burn that way. So maybe being completely flat on a wooden plank is helpful. This new growth up here, finally. I think it just took some time for me to get that perfect environment that it needs. Just to be safe, I might put like a fat rock in the back here just so there's no movement on this piece of plank wood. Hell yeah. We're gonna give our guy a nice spray to get it going. Since we just transferred from moss to soil and this soil is pretty dry, we definitely need to give it a thorough water. So let's do that. Alright, so we're gonna give our cutting a nice thorough watering. Gonna kind of go slow. For my house plants, especially my tropical house plants, I love to use filtered water. I think they appreciate this, especially because the water out here is so pretty terrible. But, you know, it kind of mimics that fresh, clean water that they get constantly in the tropical rainforest. So I like to kind of give a little extra water. Just make sure our soil is properly saturated enough to hold moisture. And since this is kind of a younger cutting or a younger root system, I'm gonna add some sphagnum moss. I've had soaking in some filtered water as well to add a layer on top of the soil, just to add a little more humidity. Humidity and warmth is great for root development, so hopefully this is helpful. So I'm gonna keep a good eye on this guy. I'm gonna place him in the same room he's been as long as I've had him, in the east side facing room. It gets a lot of great, bright, filtered sunlight. There also is a little bit of help from a grow light. And I have like 2 humidifiers and kind of like a heater going in there to keep it like at 75 degrees. So it seems to like it that way. I'm gonna keep it that way, and hopefully we have a successful transfer over to our soil. So I'm pretty happy with our results here. Hopefully it's a successful transition, and hopefully it appreciates everything we've done for it and we see it grow and flourish from here. Thanks for joining me in my little adventure experiment project here. I hope you enjoyed this content and maybe learned a little something with me. Definitely gonna have some updates here, so keep an eye out for that. But for more frequent updates on my cool plants, also check me out on Instagram at jenny.moon.bloom.